In this video, I will show you how to download and install Epsilon V3.0 in your computer. The first step is to download and install ParaView in your computer. So go to this website paraview.org and then go to the tab Download. Here inside you will find all the releases of ParaView. Just scroll down and here in version you will find the current release, that's V5.10. And if you click on the drop-down list, you will find all the previous versions. First thing first, in this tutorial series, I will use a CFD solution from Fluent Solver. And unfortunately, the version V5.10 cannot open Fluent files. So instead, I will use 5.9. If you are not using Fluent Solver, you can use V5.10 without any problem. So hereafter, I will use V5.9. Then, regardless the version of ParaView, you have to check the Python version. Indeed, ParaView comes embedded with a given Python version. As you can see, ParaView 5.9 contains Python 3 inside. But if you take a look at the older versions, let's say 5.7, you will see that this time you have Python 3, but also it comes with Python 2. So keep in mind, Epsilon V3.0 only works with Python 3. So I will go back to 5.9, that's the version I will use. And for a given version, you will have subversions here, 5.9.1 and 5.9.0. I will stick to this one, 5.9.0, and then you have to choose the version that suits your needs. You have two big options. MPI, that's for multiprocessor, that's something you should use for your server. But if you're using a personal computer, you should use any of these two. That's for your personal computer in Windows. The first one, zip, is a portable version. And this is the best solution if you do not have administrator rights in your computer. It's just download a portable zip file that you just execute the ParaView inside of it without needing to install it. If you actually have administrator rights, you can download the executable version that will have an install wizard on it. So I will stick to this one, and I will just use the portable version. Okay, now I have downloaded the file, I have extracted it, and in order to open the executable version, just go here in the folder bin, scroll down, and you will find the ParaView application. Just double click and you will open your portable version of ParaView. Now you have to check if the version you have installed is the right one, so just go to Help, About, and if you scroll down, you will find the Python version that's actually Python 3. So this is the version that works with Epsilon V3.0, Python 3. Now that you have installed ParaView in your computer, you can tackle the second step of the installation procedure, that is downloading Epsilon V3.0 in your computer. So go to our website, tab Download, Epsilon V3.0, and just click on the zip image, and this will download Epsilon V3. Now just have to extract it, and you will get this Epsilon folder. The only thing you have to do right now is just to drag this Epsilon folder and drop it in your C disk. That's all. That's all you need to install Epsilon in your computer. But let's say you don't have administrator rights, you cannot drop it inside the C disk, or let's say you are using Linux. In that case, you have to put Epsilon folder in another specific path. So I will show you right now what you have to do in order to achieve that, because the installation procedure is a bit more complicated. So let's say I cannot put the Epsilon folder in the C disk. I will put instead it in another folder. I will call it my path. So this is where I will try to let my new Epsilon folder. What you have to do right now is to change some file paths that are indicated on the files inside. if you take a look at Epsilon, you will find that there are a lot of files, a lot of plugins, and inside these files, for example, this one is an XML extension. If you take a look at that, you will see that inside you have this specific path, C/epsilon, in multiple lines. And that happens for all the XML files inside the Epsilon installation folder. So in order to put the Epsilon folder in another path that is not C/epsilon, you have to change this path. So the best way to do that is to use Notepad++, because as you can see here, there are multiple files, and doing that by hand is quite time consuming. So what we're going to do is to go to Notepad++, we're going here to the Find tool, and then I will go here to Find in Files. What I want to change, I want to change C/epsilon. I want to replace that with my new path. So in my case, my new path is this one. I will replace C/epsilon by this new path. It will look in a specific directory. My directory is this one. So basically, it will take a look in this folder. It will search for each file. It will search this and will replace this by that. That's all. So now I can replace this, go replacing file, let's say OK, and we have 56 occurrences. If that's your case, everything went OK. So now we are ready. We can just close Notepad++, and we are ready to install all these plugins inside ParaView. Epsilon V3.0 is just a series of plugins that must be loaded into ParaView. So in order to install these plugins in ParaView, just go to Tools, Manage Plugins. And there you have all the list of plugins that are actually installed by default in ParaView. And in order to load new extra plugins, you have to go here, Load New. In my case, I have everything in my C disk. I have Epsilon. What you have to do is to load all the XML file. There are multiple files, and unfortunately, you have to load it just one at a time. I will start by this one, Epsilon 5 probe. And once you select it, it will be automatically loaded, but you have to click on this small arrow here and click on Auto Load. This will allow ParaView to load this plugin each time ParaView is stored. You have to keep doing the same for the other plugins. So again, Load New. I will install the other one, Epsilon Aerodata. And again, it's automatically loaded, but anyway, I had to click on this small triangle here and click on Auto Load. And I have to keep doing the same for all the filters. Well, now I have loaded all the plugins. There are 11 plugins to load. You will realize that each time you load a plugin, there's a new icon that appears here. Here are the sources, and these are the filters. So this will help you to confirm that the plugin has been actually loaded. Just before continuing, just take a look at this filter here called Surface Leak. By default, it's not loaded. I suggest you to load it because this is quite useful and we will use it a lot during the tutorial series. So the final step is to reset session. Go to Edit, Reset Session. It will take just some seconds and you will see that the screen is restarted. Basically what it does, it takes all the ParaView default settings and says, okay, I have to take into account these plugins right now. So each time you open ParaView, it will open the plugins that you should have loaded. Now I can close ParaView and restart it to verify if all the filters have been successfully loaded. I have restarted ParaView, and as you can see, just one filter has been loaded. So what's happening? What's the problem? Just go to Tools, Manage Plugins, And as you can see, the Epsilon plugins are there, but not all of them are loaded. This is a bug from ParaView, and the only way to solve it is to select each one again and load selected, and do the same for the other ones. Of course, inside you have to click on the triangle and to activate again autoload, because when we make edit reset session and restart ParaView, unfortunately he hasn't taken into account this autoload option. It hasn't worked for these two cases, but not for the other one. So I have to do all the procedure again with these missing filters. So again, select the filter that is missing, load selected, click on the small arrow, and again autoload. And keep doing the same for this one. Then do not forget to go to edit reset session and restart ParaView until all the filters are properly loaded each time you open ParaView. Okay, now I have opened ParaView, and now I can verify that all the filters are okay. Indeed, I have 4 sources here and 7 filters here, which means that I have my 11 plugins properly loaded in ParaView each time I open the session. So that's all. That concludes the installation procedure of Epsilon V3 in your computer. You can now start using it for your aerodynamic analysis approaches. Just a small comment. If you want to take a snapshot of your screen, you can actually use a small tool that's provided with Epsilon. You have here inside the Epsilon installation folder a file called snapshot. If you take a look at it, what you have is just take an image of your current window here, the layout. You take a screenshot of that and write it in a specific path. You can change that if you want. I let that for my desktop. And in order to load it, you have to go to macros, import new macro. In my case, it's in the Epsilon folder, snapshot, and it appears here. So each time I take a snapshot, what I have here will appear in a specific image file in my specific path. In my case, it's my desktop. And that's all. That's all you have to do in order to start using Epsilon V3 in your computer.